The Dauphin Island of today was shaped by the events of its past. The island continues to honor the stories of the past each and every day, especially through the Massacre Island Secret Society that parades during Mardi Gras each year. Dauphin Island is a barrier island off the southern coast of Mobile, Alabama in the Gulf of Mexico. The earliest visitors to the island were Native Americans who came to eat the vast supply of seafood. Archaeologists have learned about these people from what they left behind: mounds of clam and oyster shells from their feasts.
These shell mounds are kind of the actual oldest part of this island in terms of people kind of influenced areas. So the first peoples to come to Dauphin Island were the Bottle Creek indigenous tribe that we normally see them up in the delta, but they would come down here, kind of like how we come down here. They'd oftentimes come to the island in search of things like food. There was a lot of things like shrimps, oysters, crabs, things that they would like to eat. And they would come down here for all sorts of different things.
During the age of exploration, the island was visited by many people, but the first to try to settle here were French explorers led by d'Iberville in 1699. They named the island Massacre Island because they found skeletons and imagined a great massacre had taken place.
They got to the island first. They actually landed here, decided to make a settlement, and when they did that, they found all these bones everywhere. And so they thought to themselves a big battle between the indigenous tribes of the area had happened here. They all killed each other and left the bodies, and that's why the bones were everywhere. And that wasn't the case. It was kind of just like the shells that we see here just left behind. And then when they tried to advertise people to come to the new colony known as Massacre Island, nobody wanted to come here.
The moniker did not get lots of interest for potential settlers, so the island was renamed to Isle Dauphine, named after the Prince of France. The Pelican, a ship from France, was loaded with potential brides for the early settlers. Those who survived the trip were married and add to the rich history of the island. Near the shell mounds, there is a tree where legend has it that if you write a letter to the one you love and leave it in the tree overnight, you will find out if your love is meant to be. If the letter is still there in the morning, it is true. If the letter is gone, let it go. People have been putting letters in the tree for well over 100 years.
What people would do is that they would climb this tree and they would leave letters to their loved ones. Typically, if you were wondering whether or not it would be a good fit in marriage or not.
Dauphin Island was under French, Spanish, and British control before becoming part of the United States. In the early 1800s, the United States military built a fort on the island to defend Mobile Bay. Fort Gaines was important in the Battle of Mobile Bay. The fort was forced to surrender to Union forces on August 8, 1864.
Hey, welcome to Fort Gaines. This is the way they used to build forts back then. This was one of the last designs for these old brick forts. And they halfway thought about technology catching up with them. Why did they build these forts? Protection from foreign powers. That's why this fort was built. It was a United States fort.
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole!
Fort Gaines still stands to this day. The island was only accessible by boat until 1955, when a bridge finally connected the island to the rest of the world. As a barrier island, the sands are constantly changing. The topography and lines of the island have changed over time. The pier on the west end was over water 30 years ago, and now it is completely over dry sand.
One of the things about this island is that it changes a lot. Barrier islands are islands of constant change. So Dauphin Island, there's a lot of changes that happen here. They're not always going to be overnight. It can be over the course of a couple of years. It's not always going to be super long either. And so what you guys see out here kind of looks normal. You have this pier that takes you out all the way to the beach. But if you had been here back in the 1970s, 1980s, this pier actually was entirely above water.
The island has been impacted by many hurricanes. Hurricane Frederick took out the bridge and it had to be rebuilt. Hurricane Katrina decimated many homes. Government officials are striving to preserve the island and rebuild the marshland so that the island can stand the test of time, even though the foundation shifts with each passing year.
I was born in 1961, and I have lived here ever since. Growing up, it was different. Obviously, it wasn't nearly as many people living here. It was a lot smaller. There was a lot less development, and of course, we spent most of our times as kids riding bikes and playing out in the yard and doing all those different things that kids did back then. The biggest change is probably the growth of not only development, more houses, more businesses, but the population has grown dramatically. Back in the day when I was born, it was probably only 300 people here at the tops. Now we're close to almost 2,000 citizens here, so it's gone up considerably. Our biggest challenge is one that you don't have a lot of control over, and that would be hurricanes in our case. We're susceptible to hurricanes that come out in the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, and affect our area, and so we try to do everything we can to become a more resilient community. But those are the things that I found in life that, the biggest challenges you deal with are the things that are more out of your control. I think the future is very bright for Dolphin Island. I think we have tremendous amount of opportunities for making the island a better place for people to live, work, and play.
Dolphin Island is a unique place where history is around every corner. It is a serene resort town that honors its history while building its future. Whether it is visiting Fort Gaines and watching the reenactment of the Cannon Fire, watching the waves crash in on the beach, or touring the many historical markers on the island, it is apparent that there is a rich history of perseverance.